Hi there, my name is Nathan Elliott. I go by Peteparker on many of the sites that I frequent, and every week I get to buy comic books as long as I review them online, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Right now, this is the review for Fear Itself #1 by Stuart Immonen and Matt Fraction. It is basically the big event for Marvel Comics this summer. It's been a while since we have an event. I guess the last event would have been Siege. And so this is the next event. I was hesitant to pick this up and to get into it because it seemed to involve a lot of Thor-heavy aspects, which makes sense with the movie coming out next month. And there wasn't very much information put out about it other than kind of runes and some crypticness and a little bit of Odin and Thor fighting and stuff. So I've been tentatively picking up the different issues for this series and trying to see what's happening. I typically like the big events myself. A Secret Invasion is one that I really enjoyed. I kind of enjoyed Civil War. I thought it was okay. Well, pretty good, I guess. And then as I reread it later on, I really enjoyed it more and more. So I'm kind of on board with the big event thing, although it's sometimes hit and miss, as everyone knows, right? So, so far, the idea behind the Fear Itself, here's where the spoilers come in, is that in the 40s, or early 40s, the Red Skull brought in, used some magic that he was tampering with, and brought in a hammer from the Asgardian god realm that no one could lift, so they built a fortress around it and left it alone. And now Sin, his daughter, who has taken over being the Red Skull more or less, and who looks disgusting in almost every picture I've seen of her, is seeking out this hammer, and we find out in this issue it's because of a dream that she had where she had killed Captain America and everybody feared her in the world, so that's what she's hoping to achieve. And so the beginning of this story is pretty boring because there's not a lot of knowledge about what's actually happening. There's a riot downtown, and Sharon Carter and Steve Rogers have to try to quell the riot, and they don't know why it's happening. They later discuss how it's not supervillain powered, that it's all purely a human riot. But all that part was kind of, it's probably going to be more important as the story goes on, but it was kind of difficult to get through at the beginning. So shortly after that, they followed up with Sin getting to the hammer in her father's old base, which is right here, and then she's transformed into a new bad guy with this giant hammer. And I would try to pronounce the name of the person's hammer, who this is, but I do not want to try to butcher it. I mean, I pronounced Mjolnir or whatever as Majorn or something like that for like 15 years, so let's go ahead and skip the pronouncing of the Asgardian names. And then you have a lot of other stuff going on. Tony Stark's going to build a new Asgard. Thor had him go ahead and design Asgard's new thing, or the way Asgard's going to be on Earth, and Odin doesn't like it, and Tony wants to announce it to everybody in Broxton, which is where Asgard was next to, which is getting overrun by tourists, and the people are really tired of having the Asgardians so close anyway. So they announce that, and he has all the Avengers by his side, which creates some pretty awesome spreads of the team. Here's one where they're discussing standing together. Nice big spread of all those heroes that are working together now. And then shortly thereafter, with the announcement of building New Asgard, there's the entire roster with even, I think that's little Danielle Cage there on the end. And I think Jarvis even makes an appearance, which is weird because you wouldn't think that on TV somebody would be like, oh, hey, there's Jarvis. Now I'll support it. But who knows, whatever. So Odin's watching this whole thing, and he's pissed off that it's happening because he thinks that Thor's making big mistakes, and he's also feeling the energies coming back from this hammer that's getting reopened. He's fearing it's the end of days again for the Asgardians. So he and Thor have an awesome fight about how they're going to proceed as Asgardians. Basically, Odin doesn't believe that they should be mingling with men, that men are just nothing but ants to them or entertainment, and Thor believes them to be very noble people, and that the only future for the Asgardians is to work side by side and hand in hand with men. But Odin has none of it, and guess who's stronger? Odin, the god of all gods, or Thor, the thunder god, who's the son of Odin? Oh, looky here. Odin is stronger. And whoops up on his son and even causes Mjolnir to fall out of his hands. Dun dun dun. Which was awesome. I gotta say, that whole part is awesome. All the action towards the end of the book made up for everything else at the beginning, and I was even okay with the fact that I, had bought the prelude and paid $3.99, $4 for it, because this is so good. So I'm so glad that they're going to have another big event with all these mega characters that are intertwined, and they're all involved with this thing, and it's going to be spreading across the world. And they even have in the middle Marvel's architects, where they interview a little bit about Bendis there, about what they're going to be doing next with after Fear Itself, which is amazing that they're, let's start Fear Itself and tell everybody what's happening next after Fear Itself. But it has me excited for how big this event's going to be, which is kind of cool. And I feel like there's been an appropriate amount of time since the last event to this event for things to kind of settle before it's raised back up again. With the past couple events, it's really felt like it was one to the next, to the next, to the next, and there's no time in between to really deal with the consequences of what happened with these world-changing events. Like, nobody even talks about Skrulls anymore. It was only like 2 years ago. You'd think that'd be on everybody's mind still, but this is kind of an appropriate amount of time since Siege and Asgard fell, and it plays into that too, so it makes a lot of sense, and it's a really good story. There's another good spread of all the Asgardians eating with the Avengers. Always cool. And so Odin has his way. Asgardians leave, and instantly the entire Avengers team feels like they're screwed because they don't have any more support of gods behind them anymore. So that's kind of not good, right? At the same time that the big evil guy's coming in to do a bunch of damage? Sure. So overall the story is really good. I'm really happy with it. It feels really thick too, so that's good. Lots of pages, lots of reading. And I'm sure I'll be picking up all the rest of this series unless it just starts to definitely tank. But, with the high quality of people that are involved with this project, I don't see that happening. So it'll just be nice to go through it, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be picking it apart. One thing I do have to mention in the back of this issue, as well as I believe every other Marvel issue this week, is a preview of Planet Red Hulk. So I don't buy a lot of issues. I buy maybe 3 a week, 4 sometimes. It's not a lot. But I got this in every single book. Is that really necessary? Are they really afraid of how poorly Planet Red Hulk's going to do? Is there really that much lack of interest in what Red Hulk is doing? That's some serious promotion of this storyline. Maybe, I guess, since Planet Hulk was so popular, they want to make sure that Planet Red Hulk is equally popular, even for people that don't really care about the Red Hulk, which I kind of don't. But I don't know, I didn't need to see it 3 times, I'll tell you that. Anyway, that's my review for Fear Itself, and that's the end of my reviews for this week. This one's going to be a 5 out of 5. If you like events, if you like all the big main characters, if you like big things happening, buy this book. You won't be disappointed. And that's it for me. I'll talk to you guys next week.